So what is the abbreviation for OOS? Please, you can start typing about that. What is the abbreviation for OOS? What is the abbreviation for kappa? Out of specification. Great. What is the abbreviation for the kappa? What is OOL? OOL. Great. Out of limitation or out of limit? Fine. Perfect. And what is OOE? I hope we may not be touched yesterday, I believe. OOE stands for out of expectation. Okay, so sometimes we expect the intended results, right? So if it is not coming the intended result, then it is called perfect, out of expectation. Great. So what is deviation? What is deviation? In short, what is deviation? So can anyone of you list out what are the classes we have taken day before yesterday? Very good. Anything deviating from regular procedure? Wonderful. Devoid from expected. Devoid from expected is something right, but something is returned. Devoid from return or instructed. That is right. Measured difference between observed and expected ones. That is deviation. It's always we can say measured difference between observed and expected one. Expected value is a deviation. Deviating from routine established procedure. Wonderful. The words are very important. Routine established procedure. That is wonderful. Any changes in the procedure done by the analyst, right? Any, not only analyst, it can be any operator, executive, even it can be a senior executive, even it can be a vice president. Anyone who deviate. It's not only for the analyst. Please bear in mind, any individual who works with GXP environment, okay, deviate its own procedure, then he is subjected for the deviation process. Any activity performed differently than that of specified document. Perfect. Deviate from SOP. Perfect. Not only from SOP, any approved document we can say. Anything departing or deviating from a generally accepted standards, right? Sometimes we should be very careful in the company policies. Standards are usually referred as a policy or guidelines as well, because Johnson and Johnson, the very top company, have their procedures as well standards. So standards is something like a mother document or a very prime document, so that your procedures will be derived from the standards. Okay, that's a generalized high level document. Johnson and Johnson will be having their own standards. It's being managed worldwide and regionally. For example, within India, they have a regional SOPs, which is called as a regional SOP within the region. For the Europe region, there will be a regional SOP for the European region. Okay, in the European region, again, it will be having for individual country as well. So that's why the standard is a word, right? But if it has been standard operating procedure, it is SOP. Only standards is always reference to the policy and guidelines as well. Not followed the proper procedure by analyst or anyone. That's fine. What is correction? What are the three topics under the kappa? There are 3 points under the kappa. One is correction, and what are the two things are there? What actions? Corrective action and preventive action. So there are three main activity comes in the corrective action, that is correction, which is called, yes, correction, corrective action and preventive action. Wonderful. So these three are very important. Correction is something that immediate solution to be provided for that particular action or anything which goes wrong. Correct. So correction is very important because it's an immediate solution for that situation. That is called immediate correction or only correction as well. When it is coming for a corrective action, it is a solution for that particular, it's a permanent solution for that particular situation. Anything goes wrong, immediate action is the correction immediately, or supporting with some short-term solution. Okay, that is the correction. Corrective action, a, a permanent solution you are fixing for that should not happen next time. That is corrective action. Preventive action is something for similar to this situation. Maybe there are hundreds of different instrument failures can happen. So that is preventive action, which is not from this process equipment. It may be from the other process equipment or other site of the company as well. Okay, that is the learning from one mistake. As I mentioned, there can be a mistake, but that should be learned from one mistake to all the possible ways. For example, the company is having 5 sites. Okay, one is located in Goa, one is in Mumbai, or one is in Chennai, somewhere. So then the corporate procedure, the corporate quality, they call it as the corporate quality assurance. Site quality assurance is something that internal QA, site QA. Okay, the corporate quality will be sitting at a corporate level where they will be providing all the common advice to the different locations. Okay, it can be within India or it can be worldwide as well. Okay, for example, Johnson and Johnson sits in US and it operates its corporate position. They will provide all their technical advice as well as the corporate procedures to the regional sites. Regional sites here is something like India, China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and US, as well as Europe or Middle East. So these are the regionals. The corporate will share their procedure to them. Okay, so this is the uh, way that learnings will happen from the corrective action. The preventive action will be circulated wherever it is applicable, because Johnson and Johnson may be having device or maybe having pharmaceutical, that is called Janssen's pharmaceutical. Okay, Johnson and Johnson division is having for drugs is the Janssen. So they will know that to which department or which sites this should be circulated to avoid the future mistake. So that is called the preventive action within the organization. Okay, that's good. So we have left with 1 minute and total 165, sorry, 173. Okay, I think yesterday the course finalization, I think hope we have done. The title of the form is internship details. The title of the form will be internship details, but that is for the purpose of course finalization, and we have listed around 255 entries have been reached. Please, if anyone, I think there is a duplicate again. So 37 duplicates are there. Uh, Guys, please pay attention because we are getting duplicate entries or triplicate entries. So that will be always difficult for us to, when we go for the counting purpose. Okay. So please avoid second entry. If you want to do, please inform us. Okay. So that it will be helpful for us to understand. We will mark these are the second entries like that. Okay, fine. let's do this uh, together at least. So, and today will be your internship title finalization day by 10 p.m. So that we have to work on that because we have given a 5 options to all of you guys, and then we have to put a lot of effort in scrutinizing and providing the first priority for you guys. Okay, so whoever enters first come will have the first come first first serve first income. Okay, so whoever come in, they'll be given the slot for them to their own choosing the topics. First come first serve. Triplicates. Yep. I think now we are around 80. Yes, people are keep joining. 177. Okay, so let's start with today's discussion about change management. And we have left with the topics for this uh, general module. And this is a general session for all the team. Then from next week onwards, it will be a specific core discussions will start. Okay, so now we have left with the topic change control and quality risk management, and followed by the next session we'll be having market complaint or customer complaint and the product recall. Okay, so the 4 topics are left for us for the day, and please pay attention because these are all very interesting as well as important topics in the field. Okay, so that's the reason I'm just trying to make this controlled uh, classes so that people will be having all will be having the same kind of knowledge in these discussions. So let's start with the program. Uh, Very quick update. If anyone not updated the yesterday's internship details course finalization, please, if you take a quick 1 minute time to complete, that will be really helpful because we have to freeze the number of people. So we are struggling from day one that we don't know how many people are there finalized. So unfortunately, that was not very clear from the university as well from the day one of our class. So of course, we gave a flexibility that yes, as many people can join this class and they can switch over. The reason is uh, when you come to know about the interesting topics in each department, obviously you'll be try to swap the course. That's fine, but still we should know who how much people are really finally available for the class. So that is the main intention of this form, because we have another administrative process with this data. The reason, if you not enter here, there is a lot of chance you will not get the certificate because I have to collect all these informations and we have to pass to the certification body. That's not an easy job for us, right? And I should not give a duplicate names out there or something like a duplicate in the list. So this is the place where we have to deep dive for all these kind of scrutinization. So that's why please pay attention. Do not enter repeated times. Okay, so that will be adding in our log. Okay, let's move to the topic now. I think it may take few seconds to reach your dashboard. I hope you might have seen this. Okay, so today's topic is about the change control management. So what the name really means here is about the change. Okay, change control. So anything getting changed should be controlled. Controlled in the sense it should be witnessed, it should be approved. Okay, that is very, very important. As an analyst, you don't have any rights to go and change even the instrument from one location to other location, because during the validation that has been already established, this piece of instrument will be located at this location only. So which means that it has been recorded and documented. You can't able to go and change and keep it elsewhere. So that is the purpose of this process, change control management. The reason is if people keep changing, okay, then there will not be any control for the person. For example, the first shift guy comes and use the balance, and he wants to take it to other place for his purpose. Of course, he should not do that activity because there should be another balance in the another location. So if anything, if it is a mistake, if there is any error in the balance calibration, of course you can send it to the uh, service, okay, for to the relevant maintenance team. Either it can be internally or externally also. So there should be a leftover information that there should be a board under maintenance, okay, something like that. So everything goes with the reference and labeling and other things. And very importantly, in the industry, for example, if they are doing like some electrical work, okay, and there is a machinery and that is kept in maintenance, and the second shift person come, if there is no any board like under maintenance or under lock and lockout, they will be keeping a lockout board. That is for the safety purpose, because when the next shift comes, we can't control the people, right? They may be having some work or something, without knowing, someone will go and try to operate the instrument. So in that case, all these identifications are very important to avoid the touching of that particular instrument. So anytime, labeling, tagging is always important. Very, very important in the QC lab also. Labeling. Okay. If you forget to label and keep anything on the table, sometimes the person can come and take that for some usage. He don't know what is really in that. Okay. He may be thought, okay, this is a milky water, purified water, but there will be some solution kept into that. So that is the reason, any time in the QC lab, if they found without any status label, then that is a serious non-conformance as well, because that is the first step for the mistakes. It is usual in your college days also, I believe. Definitely, if you're not labeled it properly, after 20-30 minutes with a lot of test tubes, you will be getting confused. Okay, and if you go somewhere and your friends will keep moving some tubes, then completely we are lost. Okay, so these are the experience, and definitely that should be a risk in the industry, because we don't have a solution to leave it unattended without documentation, right? So anything goes wrong, obviously you have to document it. For this kind of silly mistakes, documentation will be very you know mm, unrealistic, or maybe a situation that our quality of work is very poor. Because if you see sometimes change control, sorry, the deviation, addressing that during execution of analysis, I found another analyst or third analyst has come and changed the solution. If you write this kind of deviation, people will laugh at you, right? So there is some kind of discipline should be followed. So now we'll go into the topic. So change is always important. Okay. As we know all, what is tested is not sold, and what is sold is not tested. So GST, GMPs, of course, quality, safety, efficacy is designed into the product. This is the basics of GMP history. When the GMP has been really started, okay, it's 1957 by the Canadian specification. And then US FDA comes into picture from 1963 to 78. WHO starts from the 67. UK GMP from 73 at least. And other 25 countries have been, started from 1985. Okay, so why GMP is required? As we discussed now, to ensure there should be avoiding the mistakes, mix-ups, cross-contaminations, confusions, what we discussed now, rejection and rework, which means you're going to reject the batch or once again do the testing. It's a cost for the company as always. So GMP becomes necessity, yes, because it's very, very mandatory to follow the rules and regulations. So to meet regulatory requirement, that is very important. Authority agencies become watchdog, so they'll be keep an eye on all your documentation and approvals, everything. Audits approved by agency and customers, so you can't able to sell the product without the approval from the agency as well as the customers. Then the business is lost. So obviously you have to satisfy the customer as well as the regulatory agencies. Customers are more demanding because they need a quality, because they are paying for you. Maybe a huge price or low price, it's a price. They will be demanding you a lot, and the quality remains first. Competition and quality is becoming significant. Of course, you are not only the player in the market, there are hundreds, thousands of people are there, so who can give a good quality as well as a good price even. Achieving quality is a rewarding experience because you are in the market, right? When the quality is speaking, you are in the market. Okay, changing approach. Initiated risk assessments and quality management approach. Of course, any change, as we discussed, there should be a process called risk assessment. Already existing change, you should you should have you should have a uh, you should have a, sorry guys, I think most of them are waiting in the lobby. So you should have a specific record for managing the changes. Okay. So extensive guidelines on specific activities. Of course, there are different guidelines from different regulatories have their own way of changing, handling the change management, but still the principle remains same with the flow. There may be some shuffling in the flow, but always that is like not major shuffles will be there. Okay, which means QA approval will be the first step to once you make a change, then the execution will start. So most of the regulatory guidelines speaks each other. Okay, they know that. Okay, what is the benefit of this flow and what is the benefit of their flow, and then they will freeze. Okay, let's keep this kind of flow for us. Okay, so but it won't have a major drift. It will be very minor changes in the department wise or any other. So GMP guidance, these are the list of guidance applicable for generally for all the process. ICHQ7A, that is specifically for active substances. GMP for the active substances. All these guidelines are available free in the websites. So you just know what exact word you have to bring for searching. Through the search engine, you can get the informations. I hope the same slide we would have seen in the different part of session. So now the 13th chapter of ICHQ7 talks about the change control. Okay, but this is a reference, but many guidelines are there, regulatory documents are there to prove that quality management and change management is mandatory. So generally the quality management defines responsibilities and authorities. Okay, there should be a clear responsibility for the quality unit, quality control assurance. It should be independent from production. So why it should be independent from production? Because of the biasness. Okay, if you are a production manager and you are a QA, also the QA manager, what you will say? Okay, I don't want to show the loss to the company, so you will adjust the your results. Okay, this can be happen definitely intentionally as well as by the management as well. So that's why always there will be an independency for the production and quality assurance. So quality should be a independent department. So some companies will have the hierarchy that quality will directly report to the very senior management. The reason, if you put a hierarchy with the plant head, obviously plant head will support for the production activity, because his target, the plant head target, is to make the production for a month with the given numbers. So obviously, if anything goes stopping the process through the intervention of quality control or quality assurance, always he will try to bypass or suppress the team. So that's why there will be a system in the organizational flow, organogram or organizational chart, that quality will be directly reporting to the senior management. Likewise, production. Okay, you may think that how the senior management can also control the quality assurance team. Yes, that is possible, but it is the risk to the management, because that is very clearly mentioned in all quality management, that anything senior management take a false decision, okay, or it's going to impact the product quality or the patient safety, then they will be sent behind the bar from US as well as any regulations. There is a clear rule. If anything is being identified that this company is doing some malpractice or any kind of forgery or any kind of spurious drug in the market, then that person, that owner, will be sent behind the bar. This has been proven, and they have to give a huge penalty, where you can't able to do that for next 20-30 years, that penalty. You can't get that revenue as well. So these are the litigations or legal complications will definitely be. So always the senior management is very cautious on that part. So there is a chance that there is some incident as well, that most of these guys like this have been penalized and sent for court, and they've been sent behind bar. All these histories are in the industries as well. And then the quality management should drive the responsibility of production activities. Of course, we saw internal audits, quality product, quality reviews there. And so these are the key elements in the quality division. Not only this, there are many things like validations. We saw a lot of, I hope you might have gone through all the titles in the internship, right? Given for the internship. So that is the activities has been done in the industry. I may be given like 10% or less than 5%, even I can see. But this is the different activities going inside the organization. So everything comes under the supervision of quality, okay, quality control or quality assurance, production activities, or whatever may be. So now we'll see most about the ICH Q7 change control. Okay, the formal change control system should be established to evaluate all changes that could affect the production and control of the intermediate or API. So they're specifically talking about API because this is for the API manufacturing, right? The GMP for active substance. So, but the concept remains same for drug as well as biologics or medical device, whatever maybe you consider. This is a common statement. Okay, so a formal change control system should be established to evaluate all changes that could affect the production and control of the intermediate. So anything impacting the product quality, that should be come under the radar of review and approval. So even any small change you're going to do, that should be captured. You're doing this change. For example, I'm changing the temperature sensor, okay, from one to other one. That should be documented in the respective documentation. Either it can be a maintenance logbook or maintenance record or parts replacement record, whatever may be. It should be documented. It may be very less important because like to like, but we don't know what you have done. If suppose who is this called of the job, we don't know, right? Whether he's done a like to like same as previous one or newly put something into the system. So that is the reason any change, a very simple change, should be documented, and that document is called as change control form, change management form, So any title you can give it for that purpose. So since process is validated and quality being defined for an intermediate or API specification, okay, it is essential to maintain the quality. Of course, you have to be proper documentation on the any changes to track the quality of the product. Okay, suppose there is a very small part in the um, mission or reactor, and you want to change that particular part, and if, even the production manager can able to do the job, but if he's doing, if he's getting some instead of getting the SS316, he may got a SS304. 304 is a low quality. Okay, 316 is the best quality for the instrumentation. Any product contact part, please be noted here, any product contact part should be of SS316 grade. This is a thumb rule. Anywhere in the world, this is the practice. Wherever the product touches the machinery or any kind of reactors, it should be a SS316, or it can be a glass. Okay, usually many reactors will be coming with the internally glass lined reactors. They call it as a glass lined reactors. Why? These are all glass lined reactors, and SS316 are not corrosive and reactive for any molecule. So that is the reason they identified this as the base for the material of construction for all the machineries. Product non-contact part, okay, where the product is not contacted. The flow of material does not touch the product. Okay, that sorry, the flow of material does not touch the machinery parts. Okay, there you should have SS304. So this is the thumb rule. Or you can have a SS316 if you have been having a best financial support. You can go with completely the SS316 pattern also. So that is the cost management by the company as well. So this is very important when you're choosing the machinery for the MOC as well. Any change which may affect the quality of the intermediate or APA or formulation may also change the safety and efficacy. So it directly reflecting all the SISPQ. Okay, so written procedures should be provide for the identification, documentation, appropriate review, and approval of changes. For example, if you are changing the raw material, okay, so you can't easily change the raw material because you should have an approved vendor list. I think you might be recollecting that approved supplier list, approved vendor list. So any incoming material which is coming inside the premises will be stopped by the security, called the warehouse in charge to come and verify the authenticity of the material. Okay, for example, if I'm going to get a what is this called, isopropyl alcohol, which is going to be used for a sanitation purpose inside the organization. So the isopropyl alcohol which comes in the your premises will be kept outside or in the bay where they designated for the vehicle to come and stop. Everything is systematic. So you can't make someone to stand outside the corner of the road, I'll come and check. They have to come and stay at the specific location. Okay, and then the security will allows with the proper documentation. They will be having some delivery challan, they call it, as I hope you heard about all these things, right? Delivery challan will be there. All these are like a basic controls. So that once all these issuance, a warehouse personnel will come and check the where the isopropyl alcohol has been supplied to our company, whether it is coming from Ranbaxy or some ex company. You will verify. Perfect. So this is the same company as we listed in our approved vendor list. Okay, as we know that it has been referred in the approved vendor list. Then they have to check the manufacturer address or supplier address. If there is a change in the supplier address, because you know that, right? Since the supplier will be located at multiple location, and if suppose you will be expecting the supplier address from, if you're living in, Karnataka, Bangalore, you have your office or site at Bangalore, there will be a supplier address very close to the Bangalore region. Suppose you are getting the supplier address from Mumbai, then that is not matching with your record. If it is going to be a regular pattern, the supplier or when you make this approved list, that should also include multiple supplier data. For example, okay, you will be getting from Bangalore address, or you will be getting from Mumbai address, or from Chennai address, or whichever. So all these will be already provided in the approved vendor list. Suppose if that approved vendor list is not having that particular address, so you have to stop the the material there, talk to the concerned person, make it available, get it deviation. Here comes the picture of deviation, that yes, the specification remains same, and every other material code, whatever your requirements in the checklist, all remains same, but only the difference is supplier address. So then deviation will talk about all the good points and the one bad point. What is mistake? The supplier address is not matching. So you are discussing with the client or the supplier as well. So the supplier will tell, sorry, we have a shortage or a travel restriction from that region, hence we supply this. So this is your input to write in the deviation form. So as per the discussion with the supplier, it was been told that due to some travel restriction, the material has been coming from here. However, the quality and data sheet and all other remains same. So this is the exercise kind of thing. You have to do a deviation form, and then you, as a conclusion in the deviation form, you should accept that henceforth we can able to receive from this facility also, this supplier address also. Then this will trigger the change control. So, because all are interlinked, okay? Once the deviation comes as a initial step, you are doing risk assessment, verification, all other stuffs, and then finally concluding, yes, this can be accepted. So what are the consequences? Corrective and preventive action: change the approved vendor list, include this new site in the supplier address. So then this process will go, the change control. And then other preventive action. What will be the preventive action here? It will be told to other cross different sites as well. Okay, that this is the new change is coming, the supplier will be added henceforth. So you have to drive this from this supplier also. You can eligible to invert the material. So this is an example for the flow of change control. Started with deviation, then ended with deviation investigation. A very mild investigation will be going for this purpose, right? Not like a very extensive one. Then corrective action, then preventive action. In the corrective action, you will be telling include the supplier inside the approved vendor list. So then if they told, you are now going to touch the approved vendor list document, because your kappa told include this supplier. So that is the statement given from the kappa. Now you have to go to the document, right? You have to take the document. Now that it will be in the version 1, for example. Now you have to revise the version. So immediately when you are revising the version, you can't directly go and take a printout and change version 1 to version 2 and add this. There is a systematic procedure you have to follow. That is the procedure we are discussing on the change control. So in the change control, again, the risk assessment will be there. For example, some critical material, definitely you have to do a vendor assessment. The supplier or manufacturer, if you're changing the manufacturer, definitely that is a huge risk, because it's a manufacturer. Okay, so it's not directly it will be taken for the changing the manufacturer, because any product contact. I'm just getting some continuous. Any chat is going on? No. Yep. So let me continue. Just a minute. Yes. So no, okay, fine. That's clear. So now this is the situation. If any manufacturer, okay, it's getting changed. There is a series of huge activity will be behind the scene. It will completely change the your filing itself, because the main uh, main molecule or the API, it can't be come from instead of coming from supplier or manufacturer A, you can't directly invert from B. So it is the risk, because all your data, all your stability data, process validation data, everything has been based on the particular manufacturer from A company. If suddenly you are going to B company, you have to do a whole exercise, because that is the important molecule for the treatment in the tablet or in the injection, whatever may be. So that will be a very huge change when you are changing the product from supplier of product from A to B. Supply, so you should be understanding what is manufacturer and what is supplier. Change in manufacturer is very risk. Change in supplier may be mild risk. Okay, the reason, manufacturer can be the same, supplier can be multiple person. For example, you have a site in Bangalore, and suddenly there is a supplier for the same manufacturer, same item. There is a very local supplier is available. Then you can change the supplier, because the manufacturer is same and the quality of the product is going to come is same for you. But you can't change the manufacturer to another B manufacturer. The reason is the complete flow of product will be getting changed, right? The process may change, the input material, whatever he is using may change, the system may change, the quality system, the persons are changed. So everything is changed. So that is a huge risk. People will, most of the company will not entertain that kind of option, but there is always a business continuity risk is there. Suppose that A client, the A manufacturer site got completely shut down, okay, because of any fire accident or maybe any kind of casualties, then we will be in trouble, right? As we identified them as one of the manufacturer. So always the company will ask the manufacturer, in case of any difficult situation like fire accident or any other casualties, what is your plan to supply the product for us uninterruptedly? Okay, so then your logistics people will play a role, supply chain people will play a role. It's not the quality role, of course, right? The quality role depends only for the quality of the material, but the intervention of this kind of supply will be coming to the hands of supply chain management. So they should be in the position to confirm that at any cost this molecule, particular API, should come to our site without fail, because you are liable to your client that you will be supplying this product within the time frame. If you fail to supply the product, you are penalized. Because of the incoming material law supply stop, you will be penalized. Okay, so that's why in the business always you should have a proper connectivity channel, that what will be the situation if your client will be imposing you if you are delaying the supply. At least they can accept for 1 month 2 months delay, but they won't accept for the complete shutdown. That is a risk for you. Okay, that will be the risk for the business. So please keep in mind all these things. Maybe this is all a very high level thought process I'm just sharing with you, but these are all like a very basic common sense. Okay, we should know, we should have an alternative way to get that particular material to the premises. That's a basic common sense, but there is a science behind that, how to make it, and the regulations behind that, how to make it. Okay, so now these are the list where the changes play a vital role. So any change in the specification, very, very critical. Changing in the specification will be alerted to the inspection authority as well. Okay, analytical methods. Any changes in the analytical method will 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 make your differences as well, because your result depends upon the method of analysis, right? Facilities. If you change anything in the facility, temperature setting or maybe the design, okay, change in the design, it will hugely impact. Okay, supporting system, water system, utility system, whatever may be. Any change in the specification as well as design, the see, once you validated the system, you should not change anything because you breach the validation, you break the validation because you've done a extensive study on that particular piece of equipment, and suddenly if you're going and changing, that will be a impact to the instrument or equipment. So that's why in the change control, always there will be a impact assessment or risk assessment. If you're changing in the existing uh, reactor, additionally you're keeping another instrument or whatever may be for your intended use, you should justify that what is the impact of keeping that particular instrument, what is the risk will be there in the particular instrument. All these verifications should be a part of the change control. The packing material changes, definitely. Computer software upgradation, you're upgrading from version 2 to version 3, definitely you have to go for a change control. Even a patch management, you know what is a patch in the computer language, right? So if anything is that patch is very critical, okay, that is going to change the entire plan of the, of course the patch will not have a major drastic change, but still some minute portion will be changed from your validated condition. Let's take an example of printout. So once you update the print patch, the printout model printout will be the design of the printout is getting changed. The resulting printout will make change. Then it is a serious patch impact, right? So that is the place where you have to be very cautious. All the changes is having its own category. Direct impact, patient risk, always critical. Mild impact, less of patient risk, medium critical. No impact is it's a minor change control. Okay, so companies have their own style. They will do with critical, major, minor. Many company follows critical, non-critical. They follow. So that it is up to the companies. Any proposal for GMP relevant changes should be drafted, reviewed, and approved by the appropriate organizational unit, and reviewed and approved by the quality unit. So, if suppose I am doing a change in the QC laboratory, okay, so who has to raise the change? As a user department, I will be raising the change. What is the change? I want to have another temperature probe in my room. Okay, so that is my expectation. Then I will be drafting that in the document, getting reviewed by my supervisor, and I'll submit to the QA. They will ask, why you want another temperature probe in your room? Why suddenly you are asking? No, we want to monitor that location. Why it is not monitored? All this discussion will come and the risk analysis will be done. Sometimes the QA will reject. No, it is not required. The purpose of that particular room is only to change the gown. Okay, there will be gown changing room. Why I have to monitor the room? It's only for the purpose of changing the ground, and it is not required to monitor. So the change raised is discarded or disagreed. Okay, so then no need. Okay, we escalated a change, but QA not accepted. But the document remains there. That number, what you assigned, the sequential number assigned will be remain there. So anytime someone asks for the, why you're not having a temperature monitoring in this, all the evidence will be there inside that deleted portion, means a neglected part. Why you are neglecting that? You have to document it, right? Because this is the reason that this area is not used for any purpose. Of course, this is only for the changing of the gowning. Hence, this area does not require. Who is approved? You raised it, your manager reviewed it and approved by quality, right? So quality will take the responsibility to tell to the person who is investigating on that why you don't want to have the monitoring device here. So they will explain. So that is their expectation, and that is their duty to explain to the person who is asking on that part. Propose any changes to those who are best able to pass judgment by reviewing the implication on the proposal. So department head, quality unit, always the regulatory department will be there, because regulatory department is the only department will speak to the authorities. Okay, for example, If I do critical change, minor change, major change. Okay, minor change, I have to, the regulatory knows that when to update the changes to the authorities. Critical, definitely with the permission of the authority only we have to start. Once we have the critical change, anything with critical, you can take a decision, but you need to submit to the authority. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. I'm waiting for your acceptance. They will review your document and come back. Okay, go ahead. They will tell. Medium, not required to update to authority frequently or periodically. It can be annually. Minor and medium changes will be updated to authority annually, so that is the risk. We don't know which to be updated or which not to be updated. So always regulatory affairs will be a part of the change control team. So they decide, because they have to sign the document. Yes, I witnessed this change is accepted, and I will be accordingly updating the authority at relevant time. Maybe it's annually or immediately, whatever may be the case. The regulatory department head will take the decision on that. We are not the right person to take the decision. So this is the flow. One change in the environment will have an impact. It may be a huge impact or it may be a medium impact. But change is always vital, right? So change is important. Continual improvement is a changing. Any continual improvement will result in the change, obviously. So you should keep changing yourself. That is the upgradation process. Don't come down from the best practice. That is the reason your QA will review the change. For example, I have a temperature setting from 22 to 25, 22 to 25, but you want to make it 15 to 25. So it's a relaxation. There will be a lot of questions why you are relaxing this. Okay, what is the reason for the relaxation? Then, if everyone agreed, then they will accept it. Example, there will be a situation that always your AC condition works and it goes to 20 degree, 19 degree as well, 18 degree as well. Okay, so in that time there will be a out of limit situation, because my limit is 22 to 25, but my temperature records sometimes like 18 degree, 19 degree as well, for the purpose of maintaining the atmosphere in the room, not the process. Okay, in the room for the human purpose, for the person who lives there. It's an environmental purpose. In such case, it is accepted because I don't want to raise multiple times this kind of deviation because of the out of limit. So I can keep 15 to 30 as well. Okay, or 25, because usually they won't go beyond 25, because that is the material which is kept in that room will get risk. So 15 to 25 will be acceptable. Then they will write a justification. Then they will assess the impact. What is the impact here? What are all there in the room? Okay, there may be electronic components which needs the air conditioning, or maybe a chemical solution which needs the specific air conditioning temperature. All these will be evaluated. So this is the place where every changes will be identified, discussed, and then approved. So once the QA approved, okay, this is only the starting point. I'm just giving the thought process, and I'm making the procedure to the department to understand my requirement. That's it. And then the QA will approve the process. Okay, go ahead and go for changes. Before telling that, after doing that, there will be assessment process, impact assessment, everything. Before doing this, you have to inform to the QA as you informed already. Now you can start working on the changes. So this is the process now. Okay, ensure the document affected by the changes are revised. Okay, example, DMF, in-house document, and other regulatory documents, information given to customer as well. Sometimes all the critical deviations or critical or major deviations or any particular to that product deviation, it should be informed to your client, because the customer, your client, will be the person to understand what really you're doing a change. Let's take an example. You want to change the complete filling machine. Okay, so you have to definitely inform to the your client that you're changing the filling machine. Why you are changing? That is your in-house plan. My capacity is 1,000 per day. I want to increase to 10,000 per day. So that is your future plan. Obviously, you have to go for a change. This situation definitely come in the system. So then you have to inform to the client that I'm going for upgradation of my filling machine. Hence, I want to take this 3 months of time to complete all the activity. So what will be my position to deliver the product to the client? That is my alternative plan. I should work on that. So that's why most of the people will not disturb the existing until they develop a new site. So please keep in mind, every time doing some changes within the site is not at all productive for the company. You can't keep changing multiple times. So that's why right first time is always very important. Maybe the volume, you can think I can expand or I can add on. Existing expansion is different, and adding on new line is also a different concept. So it depends. Let's take an example. The same machinery, but filling machine, but now it's delivering only 1,000 vials per hour. But I want to upgrade that to 10,000 vials per hour or 5,000 vials per hour. Then I will call for a supplier who supplies the machinery, and I will ask him, with this scenario, I want to do this. How? You do your brainstorming and come back. So he will take all the details of your system, the supplied machine, and then he go back, he work, and he will tell, okay, we don't want to disturb the machinery, but only the motor and the the conveyor and the the star wheels and all will be there, right, to push the wires. So he will tell you these are the parts will be changed for this upgradation. How long it will take? The very next question. Okay, this can be done in 2 months, and after that change, we have to do our lot of validation stuffs, right? So it will be taking 6 months process totally. So then in that 6 months, whether you can occupy the changes. So that will be the portion of doing that activities. It is always you have to inform to the client, yes, I'm going for a shutdown for 6 months. This is my upgradation. So the company will also accept that. The reason is once you upgrade it, you will be getting a 10 times quantity more. So that then you can solve the business purpose, right? So these are the calculations you have to make. The management will involve all in this calculation. See, I'm giving you a very high level picture, thinking not from the bottom to top. I'm giving the scenarios, thinking from top to bottom. So be yourself in the top position and drill down. So don't go from the analyst to the manager level. Think from the manager level to the analyst level. So in-house instructions, of course, there will be some machine instructions will be there, BPRs will be there, and specification if required. These are all comes to the part of changing. The potential impact of the proposed change on the quality of the intermediate should be evaluated. Of course, the change control is the evaluation process. Yes, we discussed about that, classify the changes as minor or major or critical as well. Major changes are those affecting the impact of the quality. Okay, so the word is not critical is not there, so major stays as a critical here. Okay, so anything is impacting direct product quality, impacting or product contact, patient risk always ranked as risk, high level, as a critical or high. Impact the quality, yes, if it is impacting the quality, is different from meeting the specification. Some physical characteristics of an API are not easily routinely measured. Okay, so this is also the impact. The quality is very important. If in case of any change of raw material or even any small supplier, for example, if you are using a hydrochloric acid from Sigma supply and you are making to Rancam, so that is a difference in the chain. Laboratory grade to the industrial grade. Okay, you can't use anything in the manufacturing area the laboratory grade. Okay, that is very basics. The purpose why they named as laboratory grade, because it's used for lab purpose only. We have many incidents like this. When we audit in some industry, there will be a bottle of a solution which is used for the production, and then that will be labeled as laboratory grade. Then they have to tell why you are using the laboratory grade, because it is not the commercial grade or industrial grade. So that will be a observation for them. They have to tell yes, we have evaluated all these conditions. We'll be henceforth changing to industrial grade or a commercial grade, and they do a risk assessment or impact assessment for the previous batches what they used. Okay, so how they will verify the specification of the laboratory grade and the industrial grade? They will compare. If anything is mismatching, then they go for particular testing of that particular product. Okay, for example, I think yesterday you got the recall alert from this Neutrogena, right? They mentioned the benzene is high. So now what to do? Now they have to check the benzene compound in the Neutrogena wherever is in the market. Now people will start giving the Neutrogena to the third-party analysis lab and tell them to check whether benzene is quantify the benzene there. So when they quantify, benzene is a very high class 1 risk solvent. It has been categorized as a high level risk. There are three I believe three class 1 solvents are there. One among them is the benzene, which is should be like only in the microliters should be allowed in the process. Okay, after the completion of the process, the company has to ensure that I use this as a this benzene in my process. Of course, it's a chemical synthesis. Definitely, they should use the benzene in that process. Okay, if there is no any alternative. If they use the benzene as the process, they should know to control the limit. When it is coming as a final product, it should be less than 10 ppm. Okay, because the requirement of the benzene is not more than 3 ppm in the records. So they should prove that the benzene limit is less than 0.1 ppm. Then they are allowed. Okay, but still 0.1 into 1000 times will become your higher number. So when you're applying Neutrogena face cream, you are adding on 0.1, 0.1, 0.1 of your benzene. So that may create a problem. Okay, so that's why the chemical synthesis medicines or everything is for a short term. You should not rely on the chemical medicines. Always this is harmful. Few years back, ranitidine is a very common medicine elsewhere. Everyone knows ranitidine. Okay, if they are taking something heavy dose, always they add on with the ranitidine. Now they told that ranitidine is having some nitrosamine impurities. So what is nitrosamine impurity? That is a carcinogen. It causes cancer. So what is the reason nowadays people are getting more prone to the cancer? These are the exposures. Okay, we don't know. We have been exposed to variety of molecules or chemical impurities which may cause cancer in our body. Maybe this is sometimes this can be a intentional or unintentional, but this is the situation. So always it is in our hand how to make ourselves healthy. That's why please stay yourself healthy. That is very, very important. So scientific judgment should determine what additional testing and validation studies are appropriate. As I told, anything should be supported with the scientific justification. So if you're doing some changes, prove it through a scientific justification. Scientific judgment, it is difficult to explain or impossible in such a guide to prescribe exactly how each type of change should be dealt with. Okay, because each change are different scenarios. Each case should be judged on its merit. Include the reasoning why the proposed change is being approved. So you have to give the proposal why we want to accept the change. Change in the impurity profile or chemical and physical characteristics of the product. Okay, so now this change will bring me or come down the impurity profile. Good, that's a good change. So you can adopt that change, but before going for the adopting that new change, prove it either through a R&D study or through a pilot study, and then stability studies. What are all high advanced technology? If there is NMR, LCMS, whatever is the technology, prove that yes, my current product manufacturing is the level of impurity is 10 ppm or 5 ppm or 3 ppm. Now this impurity will be not in the detection limit. Okay, there is a one terminology called deduction limit. If it is less than the deduction limit, your system means your instrument cannot able to precisely get that deduction. At least there should be 2 ppm, 3 ppm to identify, right? If it is below the limit, the system cannot identify. So that is below deduction limit. The terminology they use in this industry is like it is below deduction limit, which means there is no deduction. So your impurity is well within the control from 3 ppm to below detection limit. So that is the improvement. That is the change you're bringing. So always the R&D will be working on the behind how to improve the process, reduce the time, reduce the cost, speed to the market. Once they establish the process, the next step for them is to optimize the process, then reduce the cost, then reduce the steps, reduce the impurities. All these are improvements. So after the change has been implemented, there should be an evaluation of the first batches. So for example, now you have done the changes and you have to be all approved, everything has been documented fine. Now it should be in a monitoring phase. After the change has been implemented, there should be an evaluation of the first batch produced or tested under the change, okay, which has been produced, right? After the change has been implemented, you are producing the batch. The potential for critical changes to affect established retest or expiry date should be evaluated. So now you have to re-verify on the retesting requirement and expiry date of the product, everything. And you have to do a stability study as well, because by the data of stability study only, your product lifetime relies. If you have a stability data for 10 years, you can tell the product is valid for 10 years. Usually all injectables, as I mentioned, is maximum 2 years. It won't be beyond that. Some chemicals can go for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Somewhere they will give only retest, which means every 5 years you have to retest. They won't give expiry. That's why the term called established retest or expiry date. Retest means it is not having any expiry. You have to retest. If it is passed, use. If it is failed, throw. That is the retest. Expiry means clear cut data that is expired, lost its life. That's all. Throw the batch. That's it. But retest is giving you some flexibility that if your material is providing the intended specification, then that can be considered for reusing, which means acceptable for the further use. That is retest criteria. If necessary, sample of the intermediate or API produced by the modified process can be placed on the accelerated stability program. As I mentioned now, it's not if necessary, it is mandatory. Of course, guidelines will tell you some flexibilities if necessary, but auditor will not come with that if necessary. He will ask how you are proving the stability. So definitely you should keep the stability program, but it depends upon the changes. Critical change, definitely you have to keep. Change of vendor, product coming from A vendor or B vendor, definitely you have to do the change, stability studies. Current dosage form manufacturers should be notified to changes from established production and process control procedure that can affect the quality of the API. So for example, this drug substance or API, you are manufacturing and giving to hundreds of formulation unit, right? So you have to explain them, this is my new COA or any kind of a statement they will provide in their letter and share that this is the changes we made and there is no any impact, we have validated the batch. That's it. This is a kind of official communication that goes to the industries. Like how you get an update from the Android that your software is ready for update or something like that. So similarly, once you updated, you have to tell them, I updated the procedure. So now you will be getting a new medicine, means new uh, key starting material or API source. Reason for the process equipment changes. Design improvement, as I told, you'll be improving the design to enhance product quality. So sometimes the design is very poor, you will be having a loss, yield loss will be there in the due to the design, or any other product quality will get impact. There will be some unwanted steps in the flow. All comes under the design improvement. So that is a change. Specific quality requirement by customer. Of course, we discussed about the improvement on the the quantity of this. Sorry, this is talking about the quality. So they may be asking you a very controlled limit for any specific testing parameter. Then you have to implement a new step to satisfy the customer. That may be the customer requirement or maybe a regulatory requirement as well. It is not that only the customer will ask you the precise specification. There may be a scene behind that the regulatory has been forced them to have this specification setup. Then they are requesting you to have the setup. Process improvement to increase productivity, we discussed that point. Corrective and preventive actions for OS deviation resulting to change the process, as we discussed that also. Any failure or OS, kappa deviation will track you to go through the process change. Operation convenience, definitely, the user friendly, changing the drop down box we discussed, right? Up and down arrow to the PLC board. That's operational convenience. Safety saturated requirement, definitely. If anything, risk to the human who is working at the premises and you're upgrading some facility for the safety purpose or local regulation statutory requirement purpose, definitely that should also go through a process change, or it is called as a change control. Introduction of new equipment to increase productivity and product quality, as we discussed. Modification of the equipment to improve product quality, increase the productivity, modification. Existing equipment modification. I think whatever is discussed here, we have taken as an examples. Change implementation, process change. Change made to improve process yields should be evaluated for new or higher level of impurities. So when you change the starting material or any key starting materials, obviously the product should be tested for any kind of increase or decrease in the impurity. So always there should be a expectation. The new system, new change should have a better quality, not the worst one compared to previous. Then what is the use of going to the change? If my impurity level is initially is 1 ppm and now my impurity goes to 2-3 ppm, what is the benefit of the change? No use. So this is the reason before implementing the change, all necessary assessment will be done. After implementing the change, if you are getting, it is a loss of time, loss of energy, manpower, investment, everything goes. So that's why there is a systematic flow of activity to have a proper change. I hope you guys are following, and it will be an interesting topic if you are really listening the flow of activities. Okay, please pay attention, guys. This is not your routine subject. This is a common sense. This is implemented in your day-to-day life as well. So please pay attention, guys. All these are important in the industry. Evaluate analytical. I think the impurity profiles of the batches should be comparable to the API batches used in drug safety and clinical testing. So this is very, very important. So if something, there is a major change, if it is, let's take an example. If the previous batch is 3 ppm and now it is 2 ppm or 1 ppm. So it is a stringent limit we achieve. So that won't impact the safety of the drug and clinical testing, which is already established. Okay, so we are in the safer side. But if you are getting, instead of 3 ppm, if you are getting 5 ppm or 6 ppm, all your previous data goes into useless, because you have to rework on the drug safety now, clinical testing, because the pure impurity has been increased. What is the impact in the body? So all these will be coming to the picture. Okay, so that's why the improvement should be always precisely going to the quality side, not to the poor quality. Evaluate analytical method to determine the new or higher level of impurities by byproducts. So you should have a capability or methodology to provide that identification of the impurities by your established, validated analytical method. If necessary, modify the analytical method to detect and quantify the impurities. So if you need, definitely, if you are lowering the impurity, right, obviously your analytical method also should be supporting to identify that lowered impurity. At least the sensitivity of the instrument is 0.1 ppm. So that is your lowest detection limit. 0.1 ppm. If your sensitivity of the instrument, your lowest detection limit will be 0.1. So your insensitivity or instrument capability is 0.1 ppm. So if there is a 0.1 ppm or 0.2 ppm, the machine the instrument will be able to identify the impurity. If it is below 0.1 ppm, then it will be considered as the below detection limit. Okay, BDL, below detection limit, that will be coming to picture. So classification, as I already mentioned, a major change process are change in the route of manufacturing. Any change, any chemical reaction is changed, definitely it's a critical or major change. Change in the source of starting material, as I mentioned, any material change is a critical. Of course, the major is a word is given, but still I told it's a company to company variation. Critical, major, minor, then obviously these are critical. Okay, if the company is having only major or minor, then obviously these are all major. Changes to the manufacturing condition process, which results in the change in to the impurity profile or physical characteristics of the product. Okay, so this is a major or critical change. Critical process parameters, whatever we told, again I tell you, critical process parameters are instrument related, temperature, RPM, and pH. Sorry, not pH, temperature, RPM, and pressure, and any other physical parameters are called as critical process parameter. Critical quality attributes, anything related to the testing result, pH verification, conductivity verification, okay, any other oxygen analyzer, dissolved oxygen analyzer. So these are all, there will be a real-time HPLC data. Okay, in the real time, some volume will be directly go to the small detection box. It will get injected and it will show the peak. There is a real-time HPLC data as well. Okay, but this is not very established in many companies. That is the reason we call it as PAT. I think in the internship you might have find that PAT, process analytical technology. We call it as PAT. That's different from VIT PAT. This is process analytical technology, which means that a lot of process are getting automation and the process is completely controlled on the data it's generated. For example, if a small volume of sample comes and automatically pulled out in the real time from the reactor, getting analyzed, the result will come back and tell that, okay, now my peak or pH, whatever may be the subject for a discussion, is now 90% peak is got. Then the product will continue. Okay, automated. It removes the human intervention or offline testing of the analysis. Usually what happens, the person will take some sample and give it to QC in process. They will inject and tell in 1 hour or 2 hours. So this small piece of instrument, which is still in the primitive stage, is a good idea for us to develop this kind of opportunity, business opportunity as well. So this small device, which can be connected to the system, where the sample will be pulling back to the device, testing it, either quantification or qualification or quality wise. What is quality and what is quantity here? Which means yes, no is a quality check. Precisely telling 90%, my peak is 90% or my pH value is 5.6. This is the quantification. Okay, so this device will send back the information to the process. Yes, my process is still going on. I didn't complete my process. So start providing me the input material. So maybe adding of some chemical reactions will further follow. So this all is called a process analytical technology. Process analytical technology means process is integrated with analytical data. So this is called process plus analytical technology. That's it, very simple. Change of the manufacturing condition process, which results in the changes of the impurity profile, physical characteristics of the product. Definitely they are major change. Critical process parameter, I think we discussed now, that is a major change. Minor changes in the manufacturing condition to improve efficiency which do not affect the impurity profile of the product. So anything which is not affecting the impurity profile, and there is a fine efficiency in the sense yield more, getting the yield more. Okay, process time working up, tightening the limit. Okay, process time work during workup means you are reducing the process time. Obviously, there should be a improvement that I can't run one batch. Usually, this drug substance it will take 5 to 6 days because it's a series of activity. Okay, there are series of chemical reaction. So one batch, the run time it will take more than 5 to 6 days, depends upon the complexity of the molecule. Okay, if it is already established, that will be a 2 days, 3 days job. But a very complex molecule, it may take 10 days also. Let's take an example of fermentation based product. How long it will take? Fermentation needs minimum 2 to 3 days of incubation, and then there will be a series of process like seed culture and scale up batch, and then the scale up will come for the main batch, and then from 10 ml to 10 ml it will go to 100 ml, 100 ml to 1000 ml, 1000 ml to 10,000 ml, and then to 1 lakh reactor. So this will take a huge time. So any mistake happen in this series, we lost the game. 1 month or 2 months productivity has been lost. So that's why the company is very, very careful in addressing all the specific needs in the process. Steps can be followed while process change. Okay, review the process change or operation change for consequence. So you can always do a review always in between the during the process change as well. Track the proposed process change. Get approval from R&D because R&D is the owner of the process. As I mentioned earlier, QC will do a repeated job what has been dictated in the SOP, what has been dictated in the method of analysis. So there is no any development happens at the QC phase, QC activity. But if you are in the product development or in the research and development phase or in that job, you will be having these flexibilities, which means you can develop the product, you can, you will be the person to do a trial and error methods, everything will be documented, but you have a limitations and flexibilities because you are developing a new molecule. It's not already developed and established. But when you come to the QC, routine commercial batches, when you're taking, already all the procedures and test methodologies are established. So you have to be relying on the R&D who supported for that establishment, should take the control to ensure that whatever the changes we brought in the new system, new upgradation is been adequate or not. Who will verify? Who has done that project earlier? R&D will be knowing the total process. So they should give the approval. Okay, it's not that directly the QC will give some technology data and QA will approve and production will start doing. No, that is not the way. R&D should confirm that the activities have been confirmed by the R&D experts. Yes, this is acceptable. And of course, the QA is the final reviewer because R&D does not know the requirements of process and commercial activities, right? So R&D chapter will get completed with the R&D experts. If they told, yes, this is a good process, with it will reduce the time, increase the yield, decrease the impurities, obviously that only the R&D person can guarantee. Okay, all other system issues, process issues, analytical issues we have to face in the site. Sometimes R&D will support for the method development and give. That is the formulation development department will take care of the method development process. QC and QA, QC and R&D will not do the method. QC will not do the method development. Sometimes some companies will have a two department in the same area. So they will be having both R&D as well as QC. But the person who is working under R&D is, will not do the QC activities because during the execution there is a restrictions, right? In the system wise also. Analysts should not change any method parameters. But process development team, formulation development team should have that changes in the method development because they have a protocol to execute with some changes. You change the parameter of temperature or what is this called, column. They will be using HPLC column, right, to do this activity. They will use same specification but different supplier column. Why? To prove that which is efficient and cost effective as well. So they will have 3 to 5 columns. These are all method validations. Okay, so they will have 3 to 5 columns, new columns. They will keep the trial. Okay, this column gives the runtime within 5 minutes. This is taking 8 minutes, but the precision is good. So all this comparison study will be done, and finally they will choose one column. That column will be given to QC. QC, you should follow this column only for this analysis. The method is developed and they fix the method for the QC. Method development will be done by another team. Routine activity will be done by the QC team. Please, guys, when you think about QC, this is very, very cautious in your career. When you're thinking about QC, you are going to do the already established work. Okay, when you're choosing R&D, you are going to do the development work. Please be noted that, because many people think QC, yes, they will. There is a bright opportunities everywhere. Even you become a marketing guy in future, you will be having a very bright opportunity because you know the full market top end scenario, which product moves good in the market, everything. So please pay attention that every department is having all its own pros and cons. Every department you have to struggle for first 5 to 6 years. That is your, kind of period you have to gain much knowledge. So please be aware on all these, basic things when you are choosing the uh, department. Okay, conduct laboratory experiments if required. Okay, the process change needs a laboratory experiment as well as a trial. Make a trial production based on the proposed changes. Before implementing, finalizing the change, that should be went for some trial production and record that, test it that, and prove that. Make the review result obtained from the change process. So evaluate the results of the change process, like whether the impurities are less or production time is less, or you can reduce some 3 or 4 steps even. So the steps will be reduced. So those things are the improvement process. If the change is major, has a potential effect on final product quality, conduct a process validation. As I mentioned, even if it is change is minimal or major, of course, major definitely you have to go for the process validation. So your selection of categorization will make you the overload of the work. If it is major, obviously it is process validation is mandatory. For that purpose, to avoid the process validation mandatory, you should not make it as a minor. That will be a serious risk. And then the QA is not efficient to do this activity. Okay, so always validation is the final step to prove that the consistency of the process. Okay, that's it. That's the terminology called process validation. So conduct a stability study. Obviously, once you've done this new process, everything, as I mentioned, you have to definitely go for the stability study to establish the lifetime of the product. Evaluate the pre-approval requirement from the regulatory or customer. So you should know that whether the pre-approval is needed from the regulatory or customer before starting the commercial batches. If the change in minor document, the change is with proper documentation, justification. Okay, if the change is minor, you can write in a proper justification as well as, or I always prefer to go for a change control, rating it as minor, do all the changes. Okay, you are not allowed to cut any pre-printed matters in the document. Okay, if it's a change in the document, minor any typo error, please don't correct the typo error in the document. That is not our headache. Typo error is accepted, but there is a limitation. Okay, all paper, all 20 pages cannot have all 20 pages of error. 1 or 2 pages error is accepted. That is called typo error. That is not going to do anything with your product quality. Okay, but your typo error in the values, critical values, for example, if it is 0.01 but it is mentioned as 0.1, okay, this is also a typo error, right? But it is minor or major. That is the common sense. Can anyone quickly come into the chat box and tell if there is a 0.1 is mistakenly written 0.01, is it minor or major? 0.1 is mistakenly written as 0.01. 0.01, instead of 0.1, it is 0.01. Is it major or minor or critical? If I gave critical also. Good. Major. Major. Perfect. Major. That's great. So this is understanding. So typo error with respect to your spelling mistake, grammar, that is excluded. But the typo error which comes in the critical values, for example, instead of 25 degree temperature or 5-degree temperature, I put 50 mistakenly. Is it a typo error? Yes, it's a typo error, but it's a risk to the process. So it's a major. Okay, perfect, guys. So let's move. Carry out the analytical method validation if required. Definitely, if any critical changes or may be done, you have to quantify the impurities. In that case, your methods should be suitable. Okay, should be suitable means could able to identify the least sensitivity. That's why I mentioned about the 0.1 ppm. Whether your sensitivity of the instrument is 0.1 ppm, obviously it should be able to trace that element. That's it. Evaluate the cleaning procedure for equipment cleaning. Perfect. So once you modify the change in the process, okay, it may be a new chemical solvent you may be introduced. You have to verify whether it can be cleanable. It is very important about the carryover. If it is not cleaned by your routine process, you are going to lead a carryover to the next process, right? So in a multi-purpose company or factory or production, multi-purpose means you can do more than one product, more than two products, more than 10 products. How many products you are doing? There will be a combination of products you are going batch. First batch will be the product A, second batch will be the product B, third batch will be product C. So there will be a matrix where all the products will be in the list, and they will identify which product is worst to clean. Worst to clean means very difficult to clean that product. If I clean this product with my procedure, all my other cleaning is acceptable. So that is the worst molecule. Okay, how we can identify the worst molecule? For example, if it is not easily solvable with water, first thing is when you're cleaning, that should be dissolved in water, right? If it is not dissolved in water, that is very difficult to wash because you're using water for the washing purpose, right? So then there will be a procedure will be implemented to first wash with the solvent, methanol solvent or ethanol solvent, any combination of solvent. So first wash with the solvent will remove your traces, which is hard to or difficult to dissolve by water. So this is the process of cleaning. Okay, so this is the risk in the cleaning. So always the cleaning procedure is very important. That should be also evaluated when you are thinking about the process change. One classic example, whether cleaning, be alert in the stat box, guys, whether cleaning of powder form is easy or oil form is easy. Cleaning of powder form is easy or oil form is easy. The molecule is in the oil form, which is difficult to clean, powder or oil, or any viscous solution. Take for an example, any viscous solution. Are you guys are there? Yes, oil. Powder form is easier, right? Oil is difficult, absolutely. Powder form is easily washable, but oil it will take. This is a common sense again, okay? So you have to give a methodology of cleaning procedure, how best you have to clean. Perfect. Viscous solutions are very difficult to clean. That's true. Yeah. And now, again, another question. Please pay attention in the chat box. If you are leaving the machinery without cleaning for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, even for 1 week, which is easy to clean? Cleaning immediately is easy or cleaning after 10 days is easy? Cleaning immediately is easy or cleaning after 10 days is easy? Immediately, very nice. Because if you leave it for long time, obviously it will get dried and sticky. Okay, so the company should follow, there is a procedure, hold time, dirty hold time. Okay, which means how long I can hold the machinery for within the dirty period. So that, for example, cleaning is a process in the production area, right? But for example, if there is a Saturday Sunday, I complete the product and I leave. Saturday Sunday is a holiday, I leave that for 2 days without cleaning it. It may be a risk, okay, because it may stick very hard in the surface, and that will be leading to the carryover to my next product. So that's why usually this production department, engineering department always run around the clock. Okay, it runs around the clock because there is a sequence of activity, we can't able to delay that, or we can't able to hold it. So that's why the company will establish a hold time study. They call it as a hold time study for cleaned equipment. Okay, now the equipment is cleaned, how long I can keep hold? Tell me. If it should be immediately used, or I can wait for 10 days, I can wait for 20 days. How I can establish it? If I clean the equipment and I can able to use the equipment for 1 month later, is it allowed? I clean the equipment and it's ready to use, but I don't have a batch. No, yes, of course, use immediately, but if there is no batch, okay, I can't hold it for 1 month. When I can hold it for 1 month, use immediately is the right one. Of course, I don't have that batch to do. For example, there is a blender, okay, only few product needs the blender. I use the blender. Okay, next the same product where I want to use the blender will come like 2 months later. What I have to do then? So that is the establishment. I should establish clean again after when using after 1 month. Very nice. That's true. So it's a logic, right? It's a common sense. Everyone knows that. If suppose I have a spoon, I can, if it is frequently used, I can use it. But if it's been kept for a long time, definitely I have to clean the spoon and use it. That's the same philosophy will be used. Sterilization, of course, it depends upon the process. If it is a sterile product, you can go for sterilization, but not all need a sterilization because sometimes we are working for this is very important point to discuss. Some APIs are sterile, then you have to go with the definitely the cleaned and sterilized products. That's for sure. When any term you speak about sterile product, always it is called clean and sterilize. Okay, in sterile products, always keep in mind first is obviously the used material should be cleaned by hand, and then it will go for sterilization. That's for sure. For non-sterile material, there is no need of sterilization because the material itself non-sterile. Okay, API, there will be sterile API, non-sterile API. So the situation comes based on the product quality. My product is sterile, obviously clean and sterilize and hold. That same is applicable. If I can able to hold 1 month sterilized material, yes, if you validate it, that is called hold time validation. Okay, people will hold after sterilization. There will be a time frame, 72 hours you can hold. But how you establish that? You have to establish that sterilization like 24 hours. I take some sample and test it. Yes, it is passed. Sterility is passed. Then take 48 hours the sample, some material and test the sterility again. Yes, now it's passed. After 72 hours, now it's passed. After 196 hours, after 120 hours. So once you establish the trend for 1 week, my sterilization product stays sterile. Okay, then you should give a safer margin of, if you have 120 hours data, you have to give the safer margin as 96 hours or 72 hours. Usually company go with 72 to 72 hours because at worst case the company will take a 3 days holiday. Okay, of course, if it is going to impact, there will be a rotation plan, people will come definitely. That's why even in the weekdays or working days or what may be holiday, there will be a uh, you know mm, production department, engineering department, other utility departments will keep working round the clock. So every 8 hours there will be a shift change. They will be, anyone should be on the site, at least a representative from each department. The reason, anything goes wrong which may be left unattended. Okay, so obviously the people should be available immediately in the site for any emergency purpose. It may be a fire accident. Someone should need to keep a information to the right team. So all these are important in the process. Okay, that's good. So revise the relevant document with due approvals. Of course, that is a part of the process. Anything should be approved. Permanent implementation. So take a check whether to implement it permanent. So of course, any change should come to the permanent implementation after a monitoring phase. They call it as a effectiveness change implementation. Post implementation check. We call it as a post implementation check, which means I implemented the change and how effectively that is performing. That is the verification process. If that is not performing well, obviously you have to take back the change. If it is successful, implement it. That's why on the safer side, we always keep the impact assessment and the risk assessment at the initial time to ensure that there should not be any surprises. Okay, equipment change. Major equipment change is defined as a change involving, okay, change in the material of construction. As I mentioned, SS316 is very, very important for the product contact parts. A change in the speed of the movable parts of the equipment. Yes, we discussed about that. When I want to improve the speed, how I have to change the parts, and that will impact my validation activity because I already validated with some certain speed. Now my capability of my equipment goes to the higher side. So obviously I have to go for the validation, the qualification. As equipment alone is a qualification. Change the spare part to the high speed, do a equipment qualification for particularly that events. What is the intended use? Okay, so that will be supported by you as well as the organization and finally approved by QA. So this is the common sense. Because I raise the speed of the instrument, I have to validate that. Use a different type of equipment performing the same operation. So it is an identical equipment but different brand, okay, different type. Or sometimes there is let's take an example of the sterilizer. Okay, there is a horizontal sterilizer, vertical sterilizer. Okay, whatever you see in your college will be a horizontal, okay, which is like a tank, a small standing reactor type. But if you go to the industry, that will be a vertical type, which means it will be kept as a flat, and it will be one door will be on the other side, the other door will be on the another side. Two door, double door system they call it as. Okay, because it's an advanced technology where you are loading the sterile, non-sterile material at one end. After sterilization, close this door. The other door will be kept open for removing the material at the sterile end. The reason is input material is non-sterile from this end and receiving material after sterilization is sterile at that end. So you are not allowing any organism to go into that other side room, which is a high clean room. Okay, because the product is going to be manufactured at that place. So once they take all these material out from the sterilizer, they keep a mobile LAF. LAF means what? Laminar airflow. Okay, anything after sterility should be maintained under class 100. Okay, what is class 100? It is the purity of the air. So we will have some separate discussion on that also. Let's find the time for that discussion as well. So it's a what is this called? It's a way that you are avoiding the movement of non-sterile material, sterilize it, move as a sterile. So there is no any contamination at that end. People will be completely gowned with the sterile garments. The area is completely clean. So that area is always a high clean area. Okay, I think we are left with few slides. So we'll continue. We'll continue without the break because I think we are left with few slides and then we'll have a short break. Yeah. So minor equipment change. Replacement of an equipment with an another identical nature. Okay, different type is something, identical nature is something. So if you change the identical type, then it's a minor equipment change. Like to like replacement, this is a word. Okay, like to like means same as such, apple to apple, right? Similarly, so if it is like temperature sensor is from 0 to 100, here also 0 to 100, that is like to like. Okay, but please be attention in your chat box. If there is a old instrument is having precision of temperature 0.1, and now new one is 0.01, is it a like to like or like to unlike? I repeat the question. The old one is zero point 0.1 sensitivity and the new one is 0.01 sensitivity. 0.01 sensitivity. Is it a like to like or there is a change? I think people are not active. I think there was a last comment. Store the equipment in proper condition. Very rightly said. Like to unlike. Very nice. There is a change, of course. Yeah, because there is a change in the decimal point of the precision or sensitivity of the product. Yes, like for unlike. Very nice. So what is this? Then you have to consider either it's a major or minor. So obviously, if there is a change, it will go for the major change. So like to like is acceptable here. Replacement of equipment with another or identical nature, but but different capacity. Okay, so that is also come under like to like. But again, you have to think about the impact to the product. Okay, here you can rate it the zero point 0.1 to 0.01 also minor, but depends upon the location where it has been placed. Okay, so all permutation combination will work for you to come for the conclusion. The sensor which is located inside the filling machine, definitely that is a critical. If the sensor which is in your QC, even if you keep as 0.1 or 0.01, that is not having much value, the risk is completely not there, so obviously it will be rated as a minor. So please pay attention with all this common sense. Okay, the complete pharmaceutical industries is having a basic common sense, but we should have a quality mindset. Take a decision appropriately. Such changes would not shift the process in any discernible manner and might be implemented with minimal testing and revalidation. So anything which is not impacting the product quality or the changes is not having any impact on the stability or purity, identity, that's the SPQ, right? We have to think about that and decide on the minor or major. Changes that could affect in the raw material. Okay, so what are the changes affecting the raw material? Synthesis route, I mentioned any change in the route, definitely there will be a problem. Okay, residual solvent, I mentioned about the benzene, class 1 solvent, that comes under the class 1, right? If anything goes wrong with that, definitely that should be a critical change. Change in physical and chemical properties, obviously. Okay, even the supplier change also is very important. Manufacturer route of synthesis change also is very important, because those all will be the resulting of some impurity, right? There will be some different profiling of the impurities will be there. So they have to prove that there is no any impact from previous synthesis route and this route, hence this can be considered as a same without any impact. So that statement should come from the manufacturer of the revised material. That will be helpful for you. See, always you have to rely on the statement. You don't want to go and check all the data in the supplier end or the manufacturer end. All you need is one statement. Yes, this is a new route of synthesis, but I established my quality and all other required stability, and I proved that it is meets my intended specification. There is no any change in the old specification and the new route specification. Of course, there may be an improvement. There will be a stringency in the specification. Definitely, you should verify there is not a relaxation in the specification. That is very important. Okay, because change can be a positive side, negative side. Positive side means getting stringent is a good quality. That's a good sign for the raw material. It's going to the negative side means if it's getting relaxed something, that's a bad quality. You should not accept. That is not at all a change for you. Your change should not go to the negative side. Don't relax anything. That is a negative side of the change, right? So always improvement should be the change, not the getting failure to the product. So impurity profiling, process and degradation impurities, inorganic salts like heavy metals may catalyze the degradation. Okay, so there will be a change of catalyst. They use a catalyst in the process, right? So they will be using some metal, heavy metal. So there is a limitation in the specification for limitation of metals also. Heavy metals, there are different metals like iron, iron impurities will be there, and arsenic, a lot of elemental impurities. We call it as elemental impurities. Okay, metal impurities, something like that. So this is called a profiling for the elemental impurities. If our analysis method is not capable of detecting the new impurities, our product will get affected. Which means, so your method also should be capable to detect the impurities. Either it can tell, I have a capability of detect, the instrument should be in the position, I have a capability of detecting at point 1, but below that I can't detect. But my limit is 1, so point 1 is very high level sensitivity. Below that is acceptable. If it is a point 1, my system will detect. If it is not point 1, it will tell below detection limit. Agreed, because my limit is 1 ppm and I am talking with the 0.1 sensitivity of ppm. So that is acceptable. Passes in analytical test, it fails in performance. Okay, so that is also risk. Sometimes analytically that will pass, but when it come for a mixture of a reaction, then there may be a different consequence can happen. Okay, then especially in the final stage, the following may get affected. As you can see, the chemical property assay is a very important test in the QC. Impurity checking like related substance and residual solvent is the important test. Other molecule related properties, for example, elemental impurities or any other specific test. For example, what is this called? Nowadays we talk about this nitrosoamines. Okay, if they use some nitrogen based compound, definitely they should provide you the statement that they don't have any nitrosoamine compound in the process. So that is the statement. Okay, like a whomsoever concerned statement, they will give the statement, in my process I don't have any originating byproduct like nitrosoamine compound, hence my product will be free of nitrosoamine. That is the statement. That one statement relies that yes, you tested, you taken care all the evidences to prove that your statement remains valid. You do whatever you behind the scene, but you are supposed to give me the statement. That is the expectation from the supplier. So that is the role of QA. If anyone not giving a proper answer, please get in the statement. Okay, you give as a statement that you take care of this part. From your molecule, I should not get any nitrosoamine compound. So you state you state and give that your product, your supply material is not having nitrosoamine. That's it. Whether you test or not, that's your headache. But I need a statement because that will be helpful for you to take back. Any in case of any problem comes, you can tell you already proved that your product is free of nitrosoamine. How it comes now? So you throw the ball to them for the deep dive discussion. Okay, physical testing, description, crystalline nature, and PSG is called particle size distribution. Okay, so the size of the particle, because it's a API, right? Final product, it could be either go as a powder form into the human use or maybe a liquid form. So particle size is always important. All these specification will be controlled in the QC specification. These are called as specification. If I have a time, definitely during the next class somewhere I'll keep some data to show what really how it looks. But please guys note down, everything is available in the internet. So please go and type certificate of analysis of pharma company. You can see the certificate. All testing results will be there. So any keywords please pay attention. Any keywords, if you have a doubt, please immediately go and check in the Google, because that is the first line of learning for you guys. Okay, usually I have that habit. If any new word comes, immediately we'll Google and check. I know that few of my colleagues also, I'll train them. Please pay attention on this, because I recruited 3 VIT guys, and I saw them. These guys will do that. If I tell anything in next 10 minutes, the person will come and tell this is a situation. That is because you have freedom of information available in the internet, and you should know how to go and deep dive and take that information. So that is the inbuilt spark of the VIT students. So I believe you will also have that spark. Everyone will be maintaining that. Great. So by implementing such changes involve cost and time. Okay. So definitely the cost is important, because we spend a lot of money in all these improvement. So all change should be directed to the improvement alone. So what are the other changes will happen in the industry, right? Analytical method, suitability or validation. There will be any changes happening in the industry, in the QC department as well. Facility, you may be having a new facility, modification or existing facility, cleaning area, AHU. So any piece of GXP document, it's getting upgraded, it's getting revised, it's getting modified, definitely routed through the change management process. Supporting system, water system, environment, AHU system, HVAC system, any small change should be routed through the change process. Why the change process is needed? Because it will be first approved and everyone come to know. If suppose in water system, the person is changing something. Let's take an example. There is some dropping, okay? There is some dripping of water somewhere, and suddenly the operator will identify that, oh, it's dripping. I want to go and stop the dripping. Yes, that is the first immediate corrective action you have to do. But what you are going to do, that is very important. Maybe you go and apply sellotape. How long that will stay for you? Maybe 1 day, 2 day. Obviously, because of pressure and other factors, that will get peeled off. The sellotape is not a permanent solution for fixing, right? So in that case, you have to escalate as a deviation. This is not a change control. This is a deviation, because the system is not acting in the required way. What is the requirement? There should not be any drop. It may be a broken, or it may be a damage, or it may be a fixing of the screws and tightening of the bolts will not be adequately done. So immediately fixing it, no need of documentation part. If multiple place it's going to happen, it's a problem. Okay, so screwing tight. For example, I just kept open the tap, and there is no water, so water is not coming. Then I run the water system, so water is started to come. Now it's dropping. Water is dropping because I kept open. Do we need a deviation for this? No. The reason, it's a manual operation. I can go and close it, because this is the nature, right? Someone kept open, they did not close because the water is not coming. So once the water is coming, you can close it. So for this, I won't claim this as a deviation. This is a stopping of that water drop. That's it. It's not impact. Okay, it's not a GMP impact as well as the GXP impact. So common sense plays the role. The same example. Okay, there is a tap. Even I close the tap, water is leaking. That is a problem, because that is a system error. The intended use is very important there. The intended use of that tap closure is to arrest the water. But if it is not arresting the water, it is leaking. That is a fault in the design. The tap is not closing the water properly. If the water drops, what is the issue? There is a chance of microbial contamination happens. Okay, so that is the consequence. So obviously, it is a mind game as well as the this the common sense where to take a proper decision. Okay, that's very important, guys. Labeling. So there may be a mismatch of labels, or the label is inadequate. For example, I don't know, there is a cleaning status label. I saw the cleaning status. Yes, it is cleaned on so and so date. But I have another control till how long this is valid. I cleaned on 10th of July, and it is valid for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. I don't know. As a third person, I don't know. Maybe you're working in the site, you know that, but the label is not for you, right? The label is for, of course, for you to know, but it is for everyone to understand what is the validity. If you keep the label uncleaned, there is also a validity hold time. If you can keep uncleaned material for less than 1 day or 2 days or whatever maybe, there is a validation data available. Dirty hold time. I can hold the dirty products for 2 days, not more than 2 days. I should not hold it. Then my unclean status label will tell material removed on previous product data details, and then to be cleaned before. Okay, that is the due date to be cleaned before. That is the maximum dirty hold time. That is the label evidence. If that is not there, obviously you have to change it and go for the change control procedure. And the same with the cleaning. If I have a cleaning, there should be a next clean due date, because I don't know when I'll be using this equipment in future. Maybe tomorrow, maybe 1 month later, maybe next year as well. So you have to mention that to be cleaned before some X date, or to be cleaned before its use. If it is next day also. For example, if I cleaned it, I'm not using immediately, right? Then the due date will be like before use. Simple, clean before use, which means whenever they someone see this equipment, they will understand that okay, there is a label cleaned on this date and should be cleaned before use. So obviously you take that instrument for cleaning, and then you take the your process. It may be next day, or maybe 1 month later, or maybe next year as well. So don't worry about it. Tagging is very, very important. Every place there is a requirement of identification. Packing material, primary and secondary packing. Similarly, any change in the packing material or any pack insert, the paper which is inside the pack is called pack insert, which will give all the data about the product. Any change in that is also considered for the changes. Computer software, obviously I told, any patch management or everything will come under the change management procedure. Yep, I think we have done with the change control now. If any queries are there, you just keep sending now, and you can take a break for 10 minutes at least, 10 to 15 minutes. I think we have some discussion about, after the 10 minutes interval, we'll have a short discussion about our Google Forms and other stuff, and then we'll continue with the next process, quality risk management. That is also an important thing. I hope you know that we use the word like impact assessment, risk method. All this risk will be governed by this quality risk management procedure. Okay. So next class is also very interesting, guys. Please pay attention. So as of now, we'll hold for next 10 to 15 minutes. We'll be coming back. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. There was a quick call, so that I took 5 to 10 minutes more to address the calls. Okay, I think everyone is back to the class now. Sorry for making you to wait for another additional 10 minutes. So let's move now to the next topic about quality risk management. Okay, I think we are supposed to close by 12, right? And the time is already running. Perfect. What we'll do, we'll just go halfway about this, and then we will try to join by 3 o'clock. I think today only we have two sessions, I believe. Let me double check the list. Yes, I think today only two titles we have planned. One is about the change control, and the other one is about the QRM. Okay, so the second half also we can take the QRM as of now. And sorry guys, I made you to wait for a long time, additional 10 minutes. If suppose, do you have any queries in the change control system? We can discuss now, and just give me a minute. The same way we'll discuss, and I want to show you something which I told to Google from your end, right? How the change control format looks. I have a data to show you that also. So we will switch this topic to the next session, because this is going to be a full descriptive session. So now I'm taking this time again for describing something very key important in the change management. This is one of the article from FDA News. See, all the documents, whatever we're sharing, is everything available in the repository of internet. Okay, so everything is available. Each and every single word can be tracked and found out. So this is something very important I want to show you. So these are the places where the change control area of consideration. Okay, product quality, the prerequisites of guaranteed medicinal product quality, approved therapeutic model wherever in the activities like modification of your medicine, or it's in the R&D phase, we can say. Of course, change control process is liberal in the R&D phase, because you may be having multiple changes, because that is in a research, right? So there will be multiple changes, but that's the terminology called quality by design. So usually the quality by design means something that anything is failing, please record it, because that will be the indication that another will not try that opportunity. Okay, so anything is passed also needed to be recorded, because for the confirmation and the consistent process. Okay, so that is very important. So suitable rooms area, that is called environment, qualified facilities, validated procedure, trained person. Okay, all these are subjective to change in case of any need of change. Okay, based on what is the base for doing these changes? Specifications, written instructions, defined responsibilities, sufficient resources. Okay, so these are all needed to make this system robust, which is training of the personnel is very important, because everything is handled by train. So that's why this automation process into coming into the picture, for the purpose of reducing the human errors. Okay, validated procedure, everything in the industry should have a proper validation. So that is the reason any changes trigger and validation. Qualified system, similarly, whichever is being considered as a external factors, like maybe erection of some uh, carbon dioxide unit, because some product may need a carbon dioxide or for their purpose of maintaining the quality. Nitrogen, most of the products have been uh, blanketed with nitrogen, because nitrogen is considered as an inert gas. So nitrogen will not allow the organism to grow, because there is no any air present on the top of this solution. The air will be replaced with the nitrogen. It is called nitrogen purging, we call it as. So that is the qualification needed for the nitrogen system. if you want to improve the product quality, R&D will tell, okay, this is the R&D result that this product needs to be nitrogen blanketed. R&D will be doing this all trial and tell that you want to make the product more stable, keep this process in your, of course, the stability is important, right? Once you manufacture, at least it should be there for 2 years. There are medicines in industry only validity with 6 days, 5 days. There are medicines such available in the industry as well. Okay, then how that reach to the market within the 6 days? That is all the process confidence. That is called as a parametric release. Release with confidence. Release with the trend base. Okay, that will reach the patient in within a day or two. It will go to them and they will be immediately used, immediately consumed. So within a day, we should get all the things ready, which means the testing should be ready, review should be ready, everything should be in place. So that's why these automation processes are coming to make everything risk-free, error-free environment. Okay, so the purpose is stability of the product is very important. If you have more stability, that will be available more in the market, more long time in the market. So that's why change control will be useful to develop the more product to hold for more time in the market. So blanketing with nitrogen brings you the longer stability time. So that may be the information for the quality of the facility qualification as well. Okay, so I'm just running to the next important points. These are the guidelines terminology. We saw only on the API ICHQ7 detail. There is another glossary from Annex 15 EU GMP guideline on change control, a formal system by which qualified representative of appropriate disciplines review processed or actual changes that might affect the validated state of the facility, systems, equipment, or processes. The intent is to determine the need for action that would ensure and document that the system is maintained in a validated state. So if anything you are disturbing the validated state with the changes which you are bring back to the maintain the validated state, which means after you change, make it validated, make the validation process. Prove that the new introduction is not impacting the product quality. Okay, the another section, the chapter 5.23. See, these are like something words in the Bible. Okay, they will not be altered, modified, anything, because every word you will be read between the lines. You will get a new interpretation always. Okay, so that's why even there is a list of all GMPs, all data available in the market, in the industry, but still company fails to follow that. The reason is lack of interpretation. Okay, so the second point about handling of changes, significant amendments to the manufacturing process, including any change in equipment or materials which may affect product quality and or the reproducibility of the process should be validated. So it's a very well coined word. We can say that they put the product quality, reproducibility, validation, equipment, material, significant amendment, all the legal kind of words has been put. So this is the statement now. So you have to follow everything whatever we discussed in the class. Documentation, risk assessment, significant means critical, impacting on the equipment, material, quality, reproducibility, which means consistency. Okay, any change, whether critical, major, minor, it's a vague statement there. So this is the interpretation in the guidelines. Okay, now we are talking about something on the CFR, which is mean for Code of Federal Regulation. This is from FDA, US FDA. Okay, so the written procedure 211 100. So that is the clause and subclause under the 211 section. Okay, 211 is reference for finished products, formulation products from the US FDA. Okay, there shall be a written procedures for production and process control designed to assure that the products have the identity, strength, quality, and purity. The one is missing is the safety here, but always you keep in mind about the CIS-PQ. Okay, they purport. This is a new word. Okay, also used in the industry like intended. So intended and the purport are very closely similar meaning and are represented to possess. Such procedures shall include all requirements in the subpart. Okay, these written procedures, including any changes, shall be drafted, reviewed, and approved by the appropriate organizational unit. So they won't tell it's quality or quality control QA. They mention as an appropriate organizational unit. The reason, sometimes it will be a site quality, sometimes it will be a corporate quality, sometimes it will be a regional quality, external quality they call sometimes. So all these comes under this appropriate organizational unit. It's a very broad terminology, and reviewed and approved by the quality control unit. So this is very clearly told about the quality control, sometimes considered as a quality or quality assurance or quality management. So this department will take over the approval process. It is none of the document, common document, will be given to any individual department unless it is QA. QA always owns the common responsibility to approve the document. They can't blame that this is done by production, so production has to approve it. No. Finally, QA should be aware of any situation happening in the site. Okay, anything in the site, even the pest management, it's a QA responsibility to approve the document. Even if it's a housekeeping cleaning activity, QA should be the responsible person to do that approval process. Okay, so general requirement, establishment of any specification standards, sampling plans, test procedures, okay, or other laboratory control mechanisms required by this subpart, including any change in such specification, standards, sampling plans, test procedures, or other laboratory control mechanism. It may be a person entry record, or maybe a storage record, or maybe a equipment logbook, equipment maintenance record, whatever you can consider, shall be drafted by the appropriate organizational department or unit and reviewed and approved by the quality control unit. The requirements in this subpart shall be followed and shall be documented at the time of performance. Something this is related to the integrity, data integrity on contemporaneous, okay, at the time of performance. Any deviation from the written specification, standard, sampling, plans, test procedures, or other laboratory control mechanisms shall be recorded and justified. Again, this is a deviation related topic. Okay, so any deviations should be recorded. So there is another statement from the PICS guideline. I think today I shared one of the PICS guideline, that is from Pharmaceutical Inspection Cooperation Scheme. PICS stands for also Pharmaceutical Inspection Convention. That was the initial name. Okay, so Pharmaceutical Inspection Convention is the initial name. So today they released a very coincidentally about the change management topic on the risk-based change management. Okay, so what they told in the older version, probably this may be the 006 second version. Written procedures should be in place to describe the action to be taken if a change is proposed to a starting material, product component, process equipment, process environment or site, which means the facility, method of production or testing, manufacturing or analytical part, or any other change that may affect, obviously the word product quality will come, okay, product quality or reproducibility, which means consistency or validation of the process. Change control procedure should ensure that sufficient supporting data, means justification, scientific justification, full volume of information are generated to demonstrate that the revised process, which means the new process, will result in a product to the desired quality, which means the new expected quality, that is a desired quality with consistent. Any change should bring the consistent. It's not a short term, it's not a one-time activity. So that the change should be persistent and consistently provide the good quality output with the approved specification. So obviously that should be an approved specification phase. That was a terminology very clearly defined by the PICS. And there is another statement. Change control is an important element in any quality assurance system, which means quality management is a continual improvement process in the quality management system is driven through the change control process. Anything you are going to continuously improve, everyone individual is responsible for the upgradation, which means even as a freshers, if you join the company and then you find there is a documentation error or a data integrity related thing, you have the voice to update to the management. There will be definitely a common forum. They will be asking you guys how best you can improve the process or the documentation. So that will be your time to know the situation and explain. Okay, so these are all very useful tips for you in the industry. So you may be excelling in this kind of discussions because you know the background now, right? So whatever you are learned now, it will be taking minimum 6 to 8 months for a person who go and sits in the organization. The reason, he will be handling only the core subject at the initial time, and other ancillary SOPs will be read. No one will get all these evidences or informations during the after joining the company very immediately. You have to make yourself ready, adjust yourself in the site to get all these kind of knowledge. But our training program will make you to facilitate to understand each and every department's activity. It's not possible whatever I learned last 20 years I can able to impart you with this short time. That's why the list of internship titles maybe make you to understand there are multiple activities going inside the facility. But we are talking about the process and systems. But each individually there is a lot of activity behind that. But the principle remains same. In any department you go and do the change control, this is your existing process. Okay. In any department you go and do your deviation, this is the common process. Investigation, it's common. Even if it's out of pharma, investigation will be common. And all other whatever we discussed, risk management will be common. So it's your time to keep understanding what is the requirement in the general industry practices. Okay, so next I want to be sharing something on this structure of change control. Yeah, so quality manual statement, that is the quality management statement or something like that. Operating instruction for change control, that is a procedure. Change request or other relevant documents, which is a change request form. Okay, so the purpose of bringing this document to you is to show the change request form as well. Okay, so here it is very nicely given. What is the GMP requirements? What is the regulatory requirements? Okay, process security is a validation. Okay, it's a GMP requirement and together a very limited level in the regulatory requirement. Product quality, no compromise. It's a GMP plus regulatory requirement, full end to end. Okay, effectiveness and safety of the product. It's mostly towards the regulatory requirement rather than the GMP requirement because you're taking care about the product. Okay, not the safety and efficacy. That falls in the regulatory requirement. That's why the approval is lying with the regulatory side. So once you establish all the new product concepts, if it is within the limit, you are in the safer margin because already the described limit is already challenged for the clinical trials and other safety studies. Now you are reducing the level of impurities. That's a good sign of the change, right? So effectiveness and safety always rely on the regulatory side. Suitable rooms and equipment, it's equally important for GMP as well as regulatory. The suitable personnel, so it is also important, which means GMP also need the strong expertise as well as the regulatory also needs the strong expertise, right? So that is important, that the area of change is identified. And we have few more to discuss. Grading the changes, I think we discussed on the grading, maybe a critical, major, minor. I think you have some grading of changes here. Major change, obviously this word will be there. Influence the product quality or process reliability or process consistency or validation, whatever word you can put there. Influence a unit requirement requiring control. It's a bit indirect, very simply indirect product quality. Minor is that, of course, if you have critical or major, in that way you can make yourself a downgrading of the intensity. Okay. Possible measures: official license, new approval, revalidations. Okay. This is for the regulatory affairs department. So if it's critical, you have to go for revalidation and approval. Everything should be there. But if it's a minor, it can be an amendment, which is like an annual update will be provided to the authority. Review, it can be a small review section. Documentation, keep documenting the new change, which means I was explaining about that, right? If you have any updation, it is a minor, you can just update in the documentation part. Revise your procedures. That is the upgradation in the review or documentation. So some of the examples here, again, it is well discussed already. Change of cleansing agent for flows. That has been come under the minor because the product is not going to touch there, right? So nowhere there will be a indirect or direct touching of the floor agent into the product. So obviously that will be rated as minor. Replacement of apparatus part of the same design, the same like to like. Change of laundry for working clothes, so that is not going to touch any product directly, so no problem. Introduction of co-sales, so sales is nothing to do with our product quality, so that's a different one. In the critical, I think in the major you can see that change of the process parameter, it's important. Change in the product composition, it's again important. Okay, so these are the understanding for you for major and minor or critical or major. Okay, again there is some list from the chapter 6.7.4, physical characteristics of the raw material. I think we saw all these in the previous slides as well. Trials, you can take some trials for the purpose of temporary change control or preliminary activities. That's the thing. Trials are preliminary or temporary changes, which can be permanently established or revoked after a trial period. Either the trials is successful, it can be implemented. Trials is not success, can be got back. I think there was a hand raise. It will be good. We allowed you to talk. Please go ahead, please. Is there anything to discuss? Sarbajit Ray. Okay. If you have anything, you can leave a comment or in the chat box. So now I'll be continuing. So there is a change control committee. The process, as I already mentioned, you are not left alone. So you will be always been working as a team, cross-functional team, R&D, regulatory, engineering, production, quality control. Everyone will be in the panel. So don't worry that you are always supported by the team of experts. You can learn together with the team of experts. This is a platform where you learn about R&D, where you learn about the QC, engineering. All they bring their own issues and problems when they are implementing. Every time that will be the good learning. Okay, how you are getting maturity based on the experience when you work on the site. So this is the, let's take a few seconds to move. Yeah, this is the sample change control document. Every company will have this kind of documentation format, like change control procedure. The company name will be there. Definitely they should have page X of Y. Why page of X of Y? 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. They should have that kind of practice. This is a good documentation practice. Okay, so in one common paper, you have to see the content as well as the good documentation practice requirement. Okay, so document number, it is for the traceability purpose. Once again, it's a data integrity requirement. Version, again, it's a traceability purpose, whether it's an old version or new version. Okay, every time you go for a change, you have to give a new version number. It's obviously the understood point. then the old version will be obsolete. It will not be used in the system. Valid from 2. Okay, when till how long it is valid, this document. Okay, this is something a company will be having required or not. This can be decided. Okay, file name path. If it is a digitally managed, automatically the file name path will generate it here. I am talking about as well as automation process even. Okay, area of application. So which all the area this change control document can be applied. Change of material, product, facilities, process, procedures, systems in the process, systems in the areas of purchasing. Even in the purchase, they use to change control if it is a GXP related purchase. Okay, manufacture, QC, engineering, R&D, marketing authorization, sales. I don't know what is EDP, but let it be electronic data enterprises or something. Okay, contract manufacturing. Of course, when you're doing some third-party contract manufacturing, you have to have the change control triggering for them even. External testing places, any third-party testing, excluding changes or to printed packaging material. You can give what is included and what is excluded as well. Okay, so this is the template. So you should have who has compiled, which means done by, checked by or reviewed by, finally approved by. So in the industry, every paper also sometimes have the bottom the signatures, but sometimes it depends upon the electronic version. They will go with the one electronic version signature, but usually the hard copies will be having every page signed because of the integrity. Someone should not change the without the sign that page may not be changed, right? So that is the intention of all the page signatures in the industry as well. So this is the procedure. Okay, we talk many times about what is procedure, right? SOP. The procedure will look like this: purpose of the instruction, definition or observation, sorry, abbreviations, and they write something on the what is CCC, change control committee, what is change, plan deviation, what is change control, what is called as facility, who is an applicant, minor change, what is minor change, what is major change, because every company has their own kind of style of projecting their criticality, right? So they define their own style. Okay, how they're rating this change, what is process, what is system, what is procedure. So everything will be very clearly explained to you guys. And the responsibility, what is the responsibility of a QA, what is the responsibility of the QC, everything will be provided. So the procedure will be dictated, how to do each and every step, what is the first step, what is the second step, everything. Okay, the chairman of the change control committee is the QA representative. Who was the leadership of the committee? Obviously the chair, the QA. Okay, so this is an example. The procedure starts, the basic principle. What is the basic principle behind the change control and how to implement a change control? Okay, there is a set of procedure how to drive this process. So this is called as standard operating procedure. So this is not a book like an examination. After you complete reading this book or this set of papers, you have to keep somewhere in the cupboard and you start working. This should be available in hand during your execution. So all your subject ends with the college. Okay, no more examination happens, but of course some assessment will be there even in the office. You'll be after giving a training, there will be an assessment. You have to get passed in that assessment. After the training session, there will be a quiz or maybe a multiple choice questions will be there in even in the industry for that particular training program. So once you get trained, that goes into your mind. Obviously that is registered, but of course there is a chance that you may be not aware of something in the document. So anytime it's a kind of like an open book method for you guys. Take a book and do that execution. Take the procedure and do that execution. Keep always the SOPs handy, which means ready to use. For example, if it's there in the second floor in a cupboard and lock and key, obviously what you will do, you will be feeling tired to go there, bring that document and verify and do the activity. So obviously this is an industry requirement that any SOPs should be very close to that particular piece of instrument. So that you don't want to go spend time for going to some other place and bring that instrument, bring that set of papers, right? Procedure. So it should be handy. That is the basic common sense, right? Again, yes. This is a set of procedure. They give what to document, how many formats are there. See, this is the format. Appendix, change control form is the one documentation is available. Okay, and this is the change control form. Oh, sorry, it's still in the procedure. Object of the change, mark with a cross. You can write it here. Who is the applicant? Name of the person. Department you have to write here. What is the really the change you are looking for? If anything out of this, you can write in others. Okay. Description of the change. There will be some already predefined set of change details, so you can select it from here. So obviously, at one step, you have to get approval, right? Response risk assessment of the affected area. Which area is getting affected? There may be multiple area, so you have to show multiple area in the document. Change control committee. Who are all the member of the committee? Because every change control will not have the same committee, okay, or the same person. Okay, same department may be there, but different persons will be involved. So committee will be choosing the right person for that purpose, for that intended change control program. Okay, so if it is engineering, they will call engineering person. If it is a mechanical, they will call the mechanical person. So that person will give you an idea how to get that improvement successful. Risk assessment, additional, grade your change, means category the changes. Decision, so signatures you can see here. Head of production is acknowledging that yes, I am agreed with these changes, because then he should not tell my sign is not there, so I'm not aware of that. So whenever you see, he should sign it. That is again a piece of data integrity. Head quality control, he can't tell that yes, I was a part, but I didn't sign. I don't know what is the last document you wrote. So everything should be finally approved or reviewed by the individual department head. Sales manager should be aware if it is relevant to him. Information representative, IT, everything has been IT driven. So obviously they also keep updated about any kind of IT related issues. Okay, the committee decides that. Who decides? The committee decides who are all the participants with respect to the change. Head of regulatory affairs, mandatorily they should be having head of regulatory affairs. QA representative, if any other members you can add, for example R&D. Sometimes R&D may not be required, so you don't want to mention. If it is required, you have to mention FR&D, okay, or pharmacovigilance, clinical department, or you may be asking the EHS. Okay, so all these will be given as a flexibility for you to involve them. So this is the completion of the procedure, what has been successfully implemented or not. The QA will sign here and with the date. You see everywhere date and signature, which means there should not be anything without the date. Your signature alone should not be there. Okay, so that is the purpose. So this is the revision history. Usually the company will have the revision history, who has authored the revision, what is the change made, when it was been effective. So this is the very important in the industry to understand from which date that new concept of change has been implemented. This is again some kind of data, the purpose, scope, definitions. These are all important in the SOPs. Roles and responsibility. Here they give, right? So CCB, CCC is also committee, change control committee. CCB is a change control board. So these are the wordings from different companies. Okay, who is the originator of the change? The person who submits a new change request is the originator. Okay. So this document, I think will be shared. I think already we have shared, but I'm not sure whether this document is there. But of course, you can Google it, this document with some keywords. Okay. Of course, if you want, we'll share through WhatsApp group even. So these are the inputs, process, and outputs. Okay. So charter, project, program, all these will give the base of the timelines. Baseline work products, project plan, risk assessment checklist, business or user requirements, schedules, and valid change requests submitted on standard form. So these are the basics to start the change control with the data. That is the backup data to trigger any new change. Okay. So once you are ready with the proposals, regularly scheduled CCB meeting, because many changes in the company will be left unattended. Okay, so there will be a process for the change control committee or meeting will be organized to see how many change controls are pending. Again, this is a process. Why? You have to complete the task within a given time. If you are not completing the task within a given time, there may be some hindrance or hurdles. You should escalate to the team. The management will think about that. What kind of hurdles can be there? Management to take a decision on investment, capex, we call it as a capital expenditures, capex, or procurement of new machineries, again it will link to the capex. Negligence of completing the task, it's a human error, which means there is pile of work is being lying for you to complete, but you are not completing. So many cases will be there which will be hindering the completion process. So either if you take a change control, close it with discarding it with the closure, or complete the task until the end and approve it and close it. Don't keep any change control inactive, which means it should be in the active time frame. Anything is open, it should be active within the time frame. The time is lapsed and you're not addressing all those things. That indicates the poor quality management. This is called quality management, which means anything you have defined, close and complete on that particular frame. If not, you have to raise a deviation. If I tell I have to close the change control within 30 days, if I am not closing within 30 days, there should be a provision. Still, some companies make a provision with an extension form. Okay, sorry guys, this should be have to be completed within 30 days. I didn't able to do that. I am raising an extension form. Allowed. Okay, but how many time you can take extension? When you're taking extension, there should be a deadline for that. You will tell in the extension, I will complete in another 2 months. Accepted. One time extension is accepted. After 2 months, you can't come and tell that you will take another extension. If you're taking second extension, the automatic business rule will go to the senior management. With the permission of the senior management, you can able to take. But you have to justify strongly the reason. There will be definitely the reason why you are not able to do that activity within the first time frame. Classic example, COVID situation. No one is able to go. Of course, you have a permission to work from home. Even from working from home, you can't able to complete. There should be some machinery should be supplied within the 2 months time frame you expected from the client, from the supplier. But finally, he told, sorry, because of this situation, all the travels are restricted. We are not able to get the time on time. Well, valid reason. The company will give you the second extension as well. So everything should be realistic. Okay, don't have any dramatic situation as well as traumatic situation. Okay, that will be a really impact on the quality of individual as well. So always keep genuine with the realistic time frame. Sometimes people will be very aggressive and tell, tomorrow I will complete all the job. Certainly not possible. Take your time, assess it properly. Minimum 2 weeks will be a best time to address. Something is very important, of course you have to react immediately. You can't tell that some fire accident is there. I will relax 2 days after I'll go and extinguish the fire. That is not the case. Common sense is very important here. Okay. Risk to the product, act immediately. Risk to the patient, act very, very immediately. Okay, so this is the flow diagram. I'm expecting you guys, this kind of flow diagram should be there in your presentation as well. Okay, the PPT what you are generating for each topics should have some kind of flow activity. Why I'm bringing this flow diagram to you guys? It's an easy representation of understanding. Once you design your own flow diagram, that will register in your mind. That is a small exercise for you guys to make the concept to integrate into your mind. So originator is creating the change request, submitting the change request has been submitted, evaluator performed, means evaluation or review is done, impact analysis is done, and evaluated. Change control board dedicated decided to make the change. Okay, before it goes to the implementation, there will be a position to accept by the board. So everyone should accept the concept. If suppose you are telling, I want to change this with some uh, 100 instead of 24 amps, you want to make it as 40 amps. That is your decision. Okay, but the engineering person will guide you. Don't do that because there is some other risk. Okay, so this is an example. Whoever is the expert in that particular area will give you the evidence for yes, go or no go. Once that is done, it is approved. Okay, once it is approved, it goes for the modification. So further you can start the changing the process. Change made. Okay, again CCB decided not to make the change. Okay, if yes, it is approved. If not, it is rejected. If the department or the board agreed, no, this change is not useful for us, it will get rejected. If they agree, it goes for the changes. The further it goes for the next step, the changes will be implemented. Okay, and there is another flow. Change was cancelled back out of modification. Okay, so if they, for example, this is a classic example what we discussed yesterday also, right? That up and down switch was used for setting the temperature, but now you completely changed and modified to the new concept of PLC board. So when you made the change, that change was cancelled back out of modification. So the old concept is not existing. Again, that is called as a cancelled. It is not rejected, it is cancelled. Okay. Now the new concept is accepted. It's been modified. Change was requested. Verification, yes. Change was made. Verification was failed. Okay, when you have a failed data verification, it goes back for the second review and approval process. Okay, why? Because it got failed, it should go back. The changes implemented was during the verification got failed, so it should go back for the second opinion for the approval. There, once again, the modification may happen, and we have to come down for the execution. Okay, verifier confirmed the change. The change was successful. Okay, this is one way of diagram here. The flow diagram is mentioned, but everyone have their own creativity, right? So that's the exercise we are going to do in the presentation. You can use a diagonal box for yes or no. All our concepts we used in the flow chart. Okay, now it has been verified and it's successful. Then change cancelled back out of modification. Of course, you implemented the change, but new concept bring into the picture. Of course, there also you can cancel and remove that concept at all. Since you are working with the old concept, suddenly you got a new concept implemented. No verification required because modifier has installed refined work products. Okay, that again is going back to changes made. Okay, if you have modified, the modifier has installed refined work products, means some more updated version you have done. So again it goes for the changes made, come back for the another verification. So modifier installed refined work products, yes, everything is done. It's no verification, it goes back. After complete everything verification, it comes here closed. This is the process of change management process flow chart. My expectation of this complete course program is everyone should be able to prepare the process flow on each topic. Okay, this is not the exercise in the presentation, but this is the ultimate success of this course. How the course is successful? Based on the your performance of making this flow chart for each and every attributes, change control, deviation, kappa. So once you are successful in defining this, it got registered in your mind, and it is easy for you to keep in your knowledge always. Okay, so I think the time is up for us because we are taking little more time. So this document will be circulated to you guys. You can go through, deep dive and discuss. There are multiple formats here: change management plan, everything. All will be having all these 5 to 10 topics: initiate, review, approve, create a board or committee, evaluate, implement, post implementation check. That is a concept. There is a concept talks about post implementation check, which means that after implementing the changes, you have to verify the adequacy of the changes. So this is the change. That's it. So here is all the data about the program. I think this is another one way of generate change control, evaluate, authorize, implement. A very high level simplified version. So this document will be definitely shared to you. And yeah, there is some more questionnaires also for you. And this is from the European Medical Agency. It's a collective document. It's been will be shared to you. What will be the situation? Okay. Yes, so we have done with the change control now. After this second session, we will go with the quality risk management, guys. Yeah, if anything is there, you can talk or discuss or chat. If nothing is there, I think I took a little more time, so we can sign off now and we'll join by 3 o'clock for the next topic. Thank you so much, guys. Yes, I think we are done with the class. If nothing is there, we can sign off now. Thank you so much. Please pay attention. There is a technical form for always for your queries. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much.